Well, the Packers have a new quarterback on the roster. Taylor Elgersma has agreed to a deal following his performance at the team's rookie minicamp and further discussions this past weekend. The 23-year-old got to work with Packers passing game coordinator Jason Vrabel at the Senior Bowl and impressed Coach Matt LaFleur with how much he'd improved between that and the team's rookie minicamp. Elgersma won the Canadian version of the Heisman Trophy last season while throwing for 4,011 yards and 34 touchdowns. 220 yards on the ground and 6 more scores. It helped him lead his team to an 11-1 record. Over his career, threw for more than 10,000 yards, 76 touchdowns, becomes the 4th quarterback on the roster, joining Jordan Love, Malik Willis, and Sean Clifford. Packers are in the middle of phase 2 of their offseason program. Turning to the Badgers, they've landed commit number 7 in their 2026 recruiting class. 3-star linebacker Aiden Reeder out of Cincinnati announced his commitment this morning. He had more than 20 offers and picked Wisconsin over some Big Ten rivals, including Iowa and Minnesota. Reeder, the 2nd defensive player in the 2026 class.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo is open to the idea that his long-term future may not be in Milwaukee. That was the report from ESPN's Shams Charania this morning. Said that while no decisions have been made, for the first time since being drafted by the Bucks back in 2013, Giannis willing to consider moving on to another team if that's what fits him best. And the Brewers opening up a series against Cleveland tonight. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
They are all watching our show right now because we have breaking news at this moment, and Shams joins us live in advance of the lottery with that and the latest on Giannis and his future. Shams, take it away. What do we have?
Greeny, I'm here in Chicago. Sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the first time in his career, is open-minded about exploring whether his best fit moving forward is outside of Milwaukee. So whether he's going to remain as a Milwaukee Buck or move on potentially, he's going to explore that, spend time exploring that, considering those options.
Do you think that you can still win that second championship here in Milwaukee after a third straight first-round exit?
I'm not going to do this. Whatever I say, I know how it's going to translate. Wish I was still competing and going back to Milwaukee. I don't know.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Sampling of Bucks audio there to get the show started. That's Shams Charania this morning on ESPN. The NBA Scouting Combine is starting in Chicago this week, so that's why Greeny is saying, I hope everyone's watching our show. They're referencing Chicago. They're testing prospects, and I believe the draft lottery selection is tonight. I hadn't even begun to think about it until I was seeing Cooper Flag stuff today. I'm like, oh, is that tonight? Just because the Bucks haven't been in the lottery for so long. And the last couple of drafts specifically really since Zion. Well, I guess Wemby, but other than Wemby, since Zion, I'd say, 4 of the last 5 drafts maybe. They just haven't had that one star prospect. I haven't really been tapped into when the draft lottery selection is. So that's on me. I believe it's tonight. I could be wrong, but that's not what we're going to talk about tonight, even though it might impact the Bucks. We'll see. We're going to talk about Giannis and some developments that broke this morning at really the beginning of business for sports media. So take that for whatever it's worth. The timing of the report is, hey, Combine Week is here. The shows are all in the air. Okay, let's break the Giannis story, quote unquote. We're going to start with that. Plenty to discuss with the Brewers and the Packers as well. Coordinators speaking today, Bisaccia and Jeff Hafley and Adam Stenovich. And I have a comment or two from each. I took 1 or 2 things from each presser that I thought were interesting. And we can kick those comments around and break them down and speculate wildly and try to read in between the lines, because that's what sports radio is for. That's what press conferences are for. So we'll do that in hour number 2. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. The show live streams, if you don't know, Facebook and YouTube. If you look up the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills, very easy to find. It also streams on my Twitter at Wisco Grant, which is especially important tonight if you are someone who listens on a station that is also a Brewers affiliate. So I'm talking to you folks, WKTY in La Crosse, and I believe 105.1 up in Eau Claire still airs the Brewers. I could be wrong. I know WOZN in Madison, our flagship, does not anymore. But I'm not 100%. There's a lot of things I'm not 100% sure about today. But regardless, if there is a Brewers conflict on your affiliate, you can live stream the show. And I believe the Brewers pregame will be at 5:35 or 4:35 because the first pitch is at 5:10. So if you want to catch the second half of the show, which will include our Packers conversation, you'll have to either listen on the WOZN, the Zone Madison app, or catch the live stream. Peter Bukowski is also going to join at 4:35, so you would miss that. The Brewers pregame is going to kick that off. So maybe that's music to your ears because screw Bukowski. No, we love Pete. But just have that live stream ready to go if you want to keep listening past 4:30 if you listen on a Brewers affiliate. And I'll take your calls tonight as well, 608-321-1670, and your texts and your comments as well. Lots of ways to interact. So we got our first piece of Giannis news this morning, and that's what you heard from Shams. And it's kind of, we've been talking about all this Jair news, which has prepared us perfectly for this because all of the bits of Jair news have been like one little phrase, right? Very abstract, not specific at all. And this Giannis news or this Giannis report is much of the same. So we're warmed up for this. We've prepared for this. And look, I'll break down anything. You give us a one-word report, we'll go to town on it because it's sports radio and it's news and we got it today. So we're going to sink our teeth into it. But the way that I read the Shams story, what he actually published this morning at 8:30 Eastern time at ESPN.com, there's only like one or two sentences in a story that's, I don't know how many words. It's lengthy. It's not like Ty Dunn lengthy, but there's some meat to it. But really the first paragraph or two, there's like two sentences that mean anything. I'd say about 40% of this story is Shams just listing Giannis stats. And I'd say another 40% of the story is Shams describing how the Bucks have no picks. Have you heard that the Bucks don't control their picks until like, I don't know, 2031. I've heard it so many times I've started to tune it out. And their contract situations, they have all these aging players and, there's injury. Dame, he blew his Achilles. Like, it's just a lot of this story is just stating what we already know. 20% of this story is sourced material, and the source stuff really ain't all that good. Okay, I'll read you the parts that matter from the beginning. The two-time NBA MVP has not made any firm decisions on his Bucks' future after the franchise's third consecutive postseason exit in the first round. But for the first time in his career, Antetokounmpo is open-minded about exploring whether his best long-term fit is remaining in Milwaukee or playing elsewhere. League sources tell ESPN. So there you go. There's one little bit of source material. The next sentence is another bit of source material. Teams have approached the Bucks frequently over the years about his availability. It's a normal exercise, and they are expected to ramp up due diligence during Combine Week, according to league sources. There's another bit of sourced material. And the final bit of source material, it's not the third stanza. It's, I think, the fourth or the fifth of the article. The only stuff that matters is at the top of the story. But the Bucks and Antetokounmpo's representatives, Georgios Panou, they're Greek fellas, don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry if I'm getting it wrong, and Alex Seratitis. Oh, Alex. We know Alex, right? They're expected to sit down during the offseason with the Bucks to discuss the future, sources said. So those are the three source things. Basically, this article tells us Giannis is open-minded, per sources. Other teams are circling, per sources, and Giannis and his agents will meet with the Bucks. So other teams are circling. Duh. Water is wet. They're going to meet with the Bucks. It's an exit meeting. That's not also duh. The only real thing from this story is Giannis might be open-minded about potentially exploring. A lot of qualifying language you heard from Shams in the intro of the show, right? He's open-minded for the first time in his career. And you know what? He should be. Okay, Bucks fans, just think of all the conversations that we've had over the last, 2 weeks since the Bucks been eliminated. What kind of things have we been saying? Well, if he was ever going to think about it, if he was ever going to ask for a trade, now would probably be, this seems like the most likely moment. This seems like the first time where he'd actually have a real gripe with the Bucks. This seems like the first opportunity he actually has to say, you know what? I'm not really sure. This is it, right? This moment, this offseason. Bucks fans, we've been saying this for weeks. So this isn't earth-shattering reporting. This is just kind of stating things that we've either heard countless times before. Other teams are monitoring. Wouldn't you know? Good to have sources down in Chicago getting us that information. Giannis's agent and Giannis are going to meet with the Bucks. I also bumped into my boss in the hallway today while filling up my water bottle. Someone alert Barrett Sports Media. That's Grant talked with his boss. Giannis would talk with his boss. Shocking. The only thing, again, is Giannis might be open, and this is something that we've talked about and kind of assumed for the last 2 weeks. But here's the thing, Bucks fans, okay? We get so defensive anytime the national media writes a story or does a television piece about how, well, this offseason, if the Bucks don't do X, Y, Z, Giannis might, blah, blah. We've heard this countless times. And every time we hear this, we lose our S. We go into flight or fight mode. And if you're familiar with the work of the 18, 19-year-olds on Bucks Twitter, it's not a lot of flighting. Those kids don't often put their phones down. Those kids don't log off Twitter. They fight and they tweet through it and they tweet aggressively. How dare you? You just want him out of Milwaukee. You just want him out of here because it's better if he's in New York or LA. That's better for the league, which I'm not even sure if that's true. The Lakers are already really compelling, even though they're not winning. The Knicks right now in this moment might be as compelling as they've ever been in my lifetime, which is maybe more of a Knicks problem, but still, like I don't know that Giannis going somewhere else massively benefits the league, at least from the standpoint of a different market. Now, if he can go somewhere else where he can get out of the first round of the playoffs, like, yeah, that would be compelling. Just like, what would be interesting? If Kevin Durant played in a playoff game that actually mattered. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the market that Kevin Durant has been playing in. Phoenix is a big market. New York was obviously a big market. You know why there's no buzz around Kevin Durant? I know let's talk about Kevin Durant is because he hasn't been out of the first round. He hasn't been in the conference finals since he left Golden State, whenever that was. Now, he came close as a member of the Nets when the Bucks went to Game 7 and went to overtime. Right? He came close, but like when you don't get out of the first round, you're like, yeah, that's not great for your brand. And I guess by extension, not great for the league. But I'm not even convinced that reporters could benefit that much by Giannis going to another market. Now, a superstar requesting a trade and then having a big bidding war and a thing to follow summer, that would be juicy. But that's not specific to Giannis. That would just be any superstar player requesting a trade. Now we get to follow that, right? This is what this team should have. And all the nerds who follow the NBA and who do the podcast can hop on the trade machine and take screenshots and, balance the salaries and all that stuff that I don't find particularly engaging, but it's fun to do that a little bit, I suppose. I would still bet against Giannis asking for a trade. To me, it still seems less likely than more likely. Doesn't mean that I'm 100% sure that he's staying. And why would I be? It would make sense for him to have reservations about the direction of the Bucks. It would make sense for him to have conversations and to be open to potentially exploring options like qualifying language. Like that all makes sense to me. But I still think he's going to stay. But consider this, Bucks fans, okay? One of two things is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. I don't think anything will come to pass in the next week or two, but when's the NBA draft? You would expect that probably something would have to go down before then, but even if it didn't, it could happen later in the summer. I mean, Dame got traded in August 2 years ago. Didn't go great at all, but it happens. One of these two things is going to happen at some point this summer. Who knows when, but at some point. Number one, Giannis will come back and play for the Bucks or announce that he's going to come back and play for the Bucks. And Bucks fans, we will get to keep watching him play. And we will get to continue to enjoy him in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, which is great. Plus, sneaky underrated part of that would be we get to tell all of the other fan bases and all the members of the national media, as we kind of a corny thing to call them, but I still haven't come up with a better label. We get to tell all those people to stuff it up their rear end. For the 7th offseason in a row, you thought Giannis was going to ask out. You really thought it was going to be this time, and it wasn't. So suck it. That would be fun. I like when my sports teams give me opportunities to tell all the other fan bases and all media members with slightly conflicting interests to the Bucks. I love when my team gives me opportunities to say, screw you, flip you the bird. That's great. That's why I love being a Packers fan, is we can grandstand. Oh, my God. You can't find a quarterback? Couldn't be me. Never won a Super Bowl? Couldn't be me. Oh, you have a crummy owner? Couldn't be me. Right? Like, I like when my team gives me a soapbox to stand on. And if Giannis comes back to play for the Bucks, not only would it be great that we get to keep watching him and he remains a Buck, but we get to tell everyone to suck it, which would be fun. That's option number one. I think that's the most likely option. But option number two, very possible, not counting this out at all, Giannis will request a trade. And if that happens, the Bucks will get to recoup a huge return of players and picks and all these juicy assets that they need. Right now, if I'm the Bucks, I'm still not trading Giannis unless he requests it to get those assets. But if Giannis wants out, he's worth a ton, and the Bucks are in need of some resources. So either way this offseason, I think Bucks fans, I think we're okay. Neither outcome is catastrophic. If this would have happened post-2019, post-2020, after the bubble, that would be a catastrophe. Because you have this team that, we thought was at least at the level of competing for a championship, one of the 3 or 4 or 5 at the worst best teams in the league with a chance to win a championship. They ultimately did. But if Giannis would have requested a trade 5 years ago before they'd won a title, yeah, that's a catastrophe. That would be awful. But they've won a title, and they're now at a point where they're kind of stuck. They pulled all the levers and pushed all the buttons, and they're kind of out of ammo. So if Giannis requests a trade, that stinks. But the silver lining is you get all those players, get all those picks. They could do with Giannis what so many Packers fans now look back and wish the Packers had done with Aaron Rodgers, which is traded him to Denver. Trade him a year or two earlier than maybe you wanted to because the return would be so much better. And I still think the return for Giannis, say, after next year would still be good. But I don't think it's going to get any higher than it is right now. So Bucks fans, neither path is awful. Neither path is a catastrophe. Either Giannis remains a Buck, and that's good. Or he requests a trade, which is a bummer, but I commend him, thank him for the title. I don't think Bucks fans would hold it against him given the state of things and how empty their ammo can is with picks and players. And then you get a bounty for him and you get to move on. Both are good. There's drawbacks to both. Neither choice is perfect, but neither choice is horrible. So Bucks fans, we're doing okay. If we go route A or route B, both lead us to a place that's pretty darn solid. Either Giannis stays here, which rules, and we get to thumb our nose at the rest of the league and all the media members who are obsessed. They're so obsessed with us getting them out of here. I got to play you the sound on the other side of the break. Brian Windhorst earlier today, I think on NBA Today or whatever the ESPN afternoon show is with Malika Andrews. Like, they are kind of obsessed. They want to get Giannis out of here. So if Giannis stays, giving everyone a middle finger, it'd be pretty great. But if Giannis wants to go, it's an okay time for both parties, and the Bucks are going to get a haul. So I think we're coming out ahead, Bucks fans, or I guess to be more specific, we're not coming out behind, no matter how this offseason goes. If you have any thoughts on this, I'll take your calls on the other side, or maybe I can give you a couple Brewers takes from the weekend, and then Peter Bukowski going to join us at 4:35, talk Packers. The coordinator spoke up in Green Bay today, so we're going to hear some of those comments after 5 o'clock. Loaded show. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes to your calls next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels here. Are your two wheels revved up? Because here it comes. The Big River Rally, where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run, with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday, it's the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I'm fascinated just your reactions here to the fact that Giannis is starting to think about whether or not his future still lies in Milwaukee.
He has to. He has to. This is a responsible thing to do. It's also responsible to make it clear that it's going to be a process. He has a set of decisions to make. He has a set of things he needs to watch. But the Bucks are in a position where they are at the end of one era, and I'm not sure that they can move into the next era. All of their key players, at least most of them, are older than him. Their draft assets are exhausted. I don't know if they're able to honestly be able to put a team around him. And with this draft lottery starting tonight, you're going to start to see teams be able to align what their assets are and what their teams are going to look like going forward. So to me, this is an intelligent thing to do. Giannis and his representation owe this to him, and we'll watch how this plays out over the next few weeks. But I will tell you, this is something that the teams have been waiting to hear. They've been preparing for this moment for a long time.
So that's Brian Windhorst, and the voice you heard at first was Malika Andrews kind of setting up that soundbite. Just a little odd from Windy, and I really like Windy. I don't know him. I like listening to him, and I think he's right and a good journalist. He's like, Giannis has to. I mean, he has to. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything. He's got to get up in the morning and be a dad. His representation, they owe it to him. What if he just wants to keep playing in Milwaukee? Like, no one has to do anything. The last part is weird to me. It's like teams have been preparing for this for a long time. If I owned a team and I sat down with my general manager, my president of basketball operations, be like, okay, so we haven't been very good. We're building. That's what you tell me. What's going on? What are you doing day to day? If I was an NBA owner, and my president of basketball ops, my general manager went, well, we've been monitoring Giannis for years. We're thinking it's about to pay off. I'd be like, what do you mean you've been monitoring? Well, we've been waiting. We've been planning. What do you mean you've been what do you mean? Well, if he asks for a trade, well, what if he doesn't ask for a trade? It's wasted work. Well, I know, but we've been monitoring. And also, are you surveilling him? You hiring a PI? Like, at some point he would request a trade, and then the Bucks will take bids. Is that something that takes 3 or 4 years to scheme? We've been studying. It's just funny to me, is all. Teams have been preparing for this for a long time. With what? With what? Have they been writing a letter to eventually send Giannis? I mean, it's just not that complicated. If he wants out, teams will put in trades, and the Bucks will elect to take one. Just kind of an odd soundbite. But again, I like Windy, and I think he's on track in the fact that the Bucks can't really move to their next era with Giannis on the roster because Giannis is their means to getting the players and the picks necessary to move on. Again, I just don't know how you do it unless Giannis asks. So we're all waiting on that. But reportedly today, he is open to potentially exploring what life might look like, possibly at other places, maybe. Pulitzer Prize winning stuff. 608-321-1670 to your calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Grant, every grandparent remembers where they were when JFK was assassinated. Our parents remember where they were for 9/11, and we remember where we were for the shams breaking news.
I knew where you, yeah. I mean, it's the Monday morning of the draft combine. I'm not saying that it's made up. It's just like, this isn't anything. It doesn't change how I feel about anything. It's not like potentially something could happen that's not breaking news. I'm used to that on cable news television, Cone. I don't need that mixed into Get Up with Mike Greenberg. That's for dicking around about sports. This isn't breaking news.
There's something going on with the Get Up program and how they just use it to feed topics to other maybe local sports radio.
Yes.
I don't know. I gotta workshop that take a little bit more, but something fishy is going on.
It's a feeder show. Like something happens on Get Up like this, and then all the other shows, national, local, the rest of the day, it's like, did you hear what happened on Get Up? And then like that's their topic. It's very weird how it like feeds and sets the table for everything else that takes place the rest of the day, which I guess is fine. Like it's called Get Up. It's the morning show on ESPN. It's just weird how it always seems to happen that way.
Yeah, but we can't let Mike Greenberg set the national narrative as a country. Like we are lost if we're letting that happen.
I mean, he's talking about, I hope they're watching our show. Like, I don't even consider Mike Greenberg a host of Get Up. Like, it's not Get Up with Mike Greenberg. He's just the schlep they have to like, what do you think about this? And then all the panelists like give opinion. Get Up is a weird show in that it's not a show in the way that First Take is or Cowherd show. It's just a thing. Like people are there and they turn on cameras. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I don't like it. But I was at the Sphere this past weekend, saw Dead & Co. To all the people that say white people don't have culture, get your butt out to the Sphere and check out a Dead & Company show.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It feels a little wrong because it's a lot of really rich people. And that's not really Once Upon a Time what the Grateful Dead was about, but also like it's better than nothing. And it's cool that the music is still going and you have an option. Like what a sweet building. Like I can't believe that thing exists and they're the perfect band for it. It is a little weird. You get mixed feelings walking around Vegas and it's just a bunch of rich people with tie-dye on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was cool. I know I've given a lot of crap to that band over the years, but
mostly just
got convinced to see them. And I'm a fan. It was a great show.
Hell yeah. You saw Sturgill recently too, right?
I did 2 weeks ago or so.
I know so many people who saw him at the Armory. That's a good call, Cone. And I love this was I'll never forget where I was when Shams sent that report down the wire this morning. Cone, you're on a heater. Sturgill and Denko. I know so many people who went to see Sturgill at the Armory last week on one of the two nights. That's a hot ticket right now. 608-321-1670. One more call, and then we're going to have to start to take a break pretty soon because Bukowski's coming up in less than 10 minutes now. How exciting. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yes. Yeah, who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's LaCroix Butler.
LaCroix. Hey, LaCroix. Happy belated birthday. I know it was a couple weeks ago. We haven't called in. We haven't chatted.
No, that's all right, Grant. I just want to say again, congrats on the engagement. I know it's belated as well.
Thank you. Finally getting around to that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Going to be tough to follow up Cohn's call there, but I think he made a good point about this Shams, Charania news. It's pretty disheartening what's going on right now.
Yeah, he's open to potentially exploring options. Maybe. It's so transparent. Like it's dumb. And he might leave. I'm not arguing that he might leave, but it's just dumb.
Grant, that's like me or you saying we're open to dating Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, possibly. Tony in Texas is open to giving up moms. Yeah, I heard that as well. That's never going to happen. Come on.
I think Tony probably had a pretty good Mother's Day.
Probably made somebody's Mother's Day is more like it.
I think that's probably true. But no, just calling in to kind of get my current take on the Bucks. I mean, whatever happens, to your earlier point, I think I'm happy with, and
yeah.
We'll see what happens, but all this national media outrage and the 12-year-olds on Bucks Twitter sure don't help the cause.
It's just a battle that doesn't need to be going on every day. Like every day, someone on Get Up or Shams does a 60-minute thing about how, the Bucks don't need picks, and then all of the 19-year-olds on Bucks Twitter are like, screw you, die, and I hope your family suffers. It's like, no one needs to partake in this. This isn't something that needs to exist, and everyone's tweeting through it all.
I agree, and we need more of Bart Winkler tweets throughout all this. He's our guiding light.
Yeah, he used to be. I appreciate it, LaCroix, and happy belated again. This text says, with how much I hate the idea of moving Giannis, with Dame essentially career/over decimated. I read that wrong, but you know what I mean. He will only be a shell of himself, most likely, and this team isn't built to win a championship for the foreseeable future. If we could hypothetically get Cooper Flagg or a King's ransom for Giannis, that's probably best. We can't win with him, so I'd be a fan of wherever he goes, and hopefully the rebuild is faster so we can get a ton for him. OKC-esque post Durant, Westbrook. I mean, that was still a couple of years. We look back now, OKC turned it around so quick. I mean, they sucked for a couple of years. But I'm with you in that. I'm with you in that. There's not a bad road here. Either Giannis stays, and that's great, or he asks for a trade, and I think the response from most Bucks fans would be, all right, man, like, thanks for winning us a title. Like, go see if you can get another one. We'll start our rebuild, and we'll get the ammo to do it. Neither option is bad. Bucks fans, we're in an okay spot. Everyone calm down. No one needs to be tweeting through it. No one needs to be hate tweeting Shams, even though I think his report is just something to get the media sphere filled up, just to feed itself to start NBA Combine Week, but whatever. Peter Bukowski going to join us next. In fact, he had an interesting take I saw this morning about this Giannis, quote-unquote, story. I'll ask him about that, and we'll also talk a little draft, and the Packers coordinator spoke today as well, so there's a couple things I want to pick over. We'll do that next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It's the Wisco Sports Show. Welcome back. 5 o'clock. I'll get back into taking your phone calls. If you have Giannis thoughts, gotten a lot of texts last week. Just like, why are you talking about the Bucks so much? It's like, I don't know. A generational player might leave. I understand some of you want a little more Brewers talk and a little more Packers talk. So I will indulge you. Coordinator spoke up in Green Bay earlier today. So I took a comment or two from Bisaccia and Hafley and Stenovich, and we'll discuss that. And no better man to talk about the Packers with now. Speaking of indulging you with Packers talk, the man who hosts Locked on Packers, runs The Leap, a newsletter that he would love for you to subscribe to if you heard his show open. And we're on a run of great guests. Peter joining me on the live stream now. Peter, last week we had Mike Renner on. Just a good-looking man. I mean, what an Adonis. He had just gone to the Keys. He was tan. I was overwhelmed almost on the live stream. You're
making me feel very insecure that I am not tan right now. He's in Florida now, so he has no excuse.
Yeah, well, he also can't grow facial hair like you. You look well. I hope you have been well. Was the draft fun? I bet a lot of people came up to you and said hello.
Well, unfortunately for our mutual friend Bart Winkler, that is true. And it was very cool to see. Like, we were joking, like the perfect Venn diagram of people that are going to the draft and people that listen to my show was Green Bay that weekend. So it was just the perfect storm of that. And so, for those of you who are listening, that was you. Thank you. It was a very cool thing to have happen. And even cooler that it happened in front of Bart so many times.
So I'm going to play some audio from the coordinators to start the second hour of the show. But I was struck by how brief Jeff Hafley's answer was about Jair, because he'll spill his guts for 2 minutes on anything to the point where he'll forget what he's even talking about. He's just so excited to tell you anything in a press conference. But today he's like, I don't want to get into that. It's hypothetical. So what's your take on Jair? What is this thing? I don't even know what to say about it at this point.
Dude, this is so weird right now. It is so bizarre because all of the indications from the team publicly are this is over. Like, they're moving on. Matt LaFleur doesn't want to talk about it. Brian Gutekunst doesn't want to talk. It's very much like, well, we'll see what happens. Whereas even with Aaron Jones, before that happened, Brian Gutekunst was saying, no, we'd like to keep him. That just disintegrated in a way that I don't think we anticipated. I don't think the Packers anticipated. But anytime it's like the Packers move on from David Bakhtiari, Brian Gutekunst was pretty clear that was going to happen. And Matt LaFleur, the year before, when that was all weird, was weird because he doesn't have a poker face. No one on this team has a poker face. And yet all the public reporting right now, Grant, is from Jeremy Fowler, Peter Schrager, is that like everything's fine. He's going to be back. There's going to be a resolution to this. He's going to take a pay cut. But they are, if this is a marketing campaign to just be like, let's say nothing until he's back and takes a pay cut, this is as in lockstep as I've ever seen the Packers on something. But that just makes it even more bizarre that this is where we are with this. It should be like, if I'm Jeff Hafley, I'm going to go, I'd love to have Jair Alexander back. But we understand that that's not the reality of the situation. He didn't even do that. He didn't even give the perfunctory, we love Ja. We would love to have Ja back. But, there's a lot of things at play. No, he just was like, I don't really want to deal with the hypotheticals. Like, that's a weird thing for Jeff Hafley to say. As you pointed out, he wants to talk about everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of all of this. It is bizarre and has only gotten more bizarre. And it's going to be weird if he's on the team. And now it's going to be weird if he's traded after all this public reporting. I don't know what to believe here.
So does it come down to his market value? Because I would expect he would take a pay cut if his market value on, the open market is less than what the pay cut would be. So is that what this eventually comes to?
I think if he had a more robust market in terms of the money teams were willing to pay for him, he would have been traded. Someone would have been willing to give up real stuff. And maybe the Packers like loved Baron Sorrell so much that they were like, "No, we don't want your 4th round pick, Jacksonville or whomever." But I have no reason to believe that trade was out there. Now, I reported at the time back in February. I was at the combine when this all happened. We got to get you down to Indy next year, Grant.
Yeah, I know.
And that there was going to be a robust market. Like as soon as this broke, every person I talked to was like, "Oh, teams are going to want Jair." Like,
and it broke the day after Goody spoke, which
is classic. Like classic stuff.
And he doesn't have to talk about it. So it
right.
seemed
it was
like
within 24 hours of Brian Gutekunst being at the podium. Ian Rappaport had the tweet of like, they're working through some stuff. And it's just sort of like, okay, come on. I thought there was going to be a more robust market. That was the indication we got at the time. That did not play out. So if you're Jair Alexander, and I said the same thing with Devontae Adams, the reason why you would trade for that contract is so that if you're Devontae, you'd want to negotiate off the current deal. If you're Jair Alexander, you would like to negotiate off the deal you have now. And so that would be the reason why you would stay. He wants to, the reporting was if he's going to leave the team and he's not asked to leave the team, that he wants to be released. So he gets to choose where he goes, but he also wants the money. And so if he is the way to maximize the money is to just take a pay cut in Green Bay because you're negotiating off the current deal. Yeah. Because the Packers do want something for him or they want to keep him. And so I think that's why the most logical thing for both sides, the thing that benefits both sides is you negotiate a pay cut. You add, I floated on Locked On Packers, Grant, make it worth more. If you play, here's $1 million for every game you play.
Yeah.
And make it that. And let Jair Alexander bet on himself and make it worth $20 million. Because by the way, if Jair Alexander plays 17 games, he's worth $20 million with the way that cornerbacks are valued right now in the NFL. So, hey, Ja, like go earn your money. And if you do, here it is. Here's all of it. Like we'll give you more.
So Elton Jenkins, we thought was the new center. It was reported they're moving him to center. And then today,
it wasn't just reported. Brian Gutekunst said that's the plan.
Yeah, reported, or it was clear and dry and out there that Elton Jenkins would be the new center. Okay, so we started to piece all of the free agent signings like Banks and some of the draft picks, and we're like, okay. And then Stenavich is asked about it today, and if you're listening, you'll hear this just after 5 o'clock. But Stenavich is like, yeah, he's open to playing center. And then they asked if he was. What was the question? Like, is he not here because he doesn't want to play center? And then Steno was like, no, he's not here for a different reason. So with all of your sourcing and your
that's always what you want to hear.
What's going on there?
So a couple different things here. My colleague over at The Leap, Jason Hirschhorn, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to, was the first person that I saw say, hey, Elton Jenkins could be a cap casualty next year. It saves the Packers $20 million on the cap to move on from him next year. He's due $18 million in base salary plus $2 million in workout bonuses, et cetera. So it's only, I think it's less than $5 million dead if they move on. Okay. Then they go out and they use a 2nd round pick on Anthony Belton. They want Jordan Morgan to win this left tackle job.
He better win some job or
exactly right.
Hacks like me are going to have a lot of red meat to go on.
And look, me too. And so I do think that's what the Packers would like to see happen. But so then what? And they don't have a backup plan if Elton Jenkins is not on this team. If they move on from Elton Jenkins, there's no one else taking that spot. Now, here's the thing, Grant. Go back to 2014. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. They spent a 5th round pick on Corey Linsley. Mm-hmm. Like they were content. Now that's Ted Thompson, not Brian Gutekunst, but they were content to say, we kind of don't care, right? And even in 2021, it turned out to be a bad pick. But they went into the draft without a center when they moved on from Corey Linsley, and they just drafted Josh Myers. Like they may just be willing to say, if we move on from Elton Jenkins in a year, we'll draft the guy and be fine because, Anthony Belton is going to be your starting right guard, and you paid a bunch of money for Aaron Banks to be your starting left guard, and that'll just be that. But I also think the other side of this, and I'm preempting Locked On Packers tomorrow a little bit, so you're welcome. Is it makes sense for the Packers as well. Very few players get a 3rd contract in Green Bay, but Elton Jenkins is the kind of player who gets a 3rd contract in Green Bay. Someone who has made every position change that they've asked him to. Remember Brian Bulaga late in his career was asked to make a position change and he told the Packers to kick rocks. He's like, I'm not playing guard. I'm a right tackle. And Alton Jenkins, if he's going to play center, like I'm sure he's going, you just paid Aaron Banks more money than you paid me last time I was up. I'm obviously better than that guy. So why don't you extend me? And then you don't have to cut me in a year. We'll pull down that base salary. We'll do a lot of money up front. We'll pay you now. Like, and he's still, I think, only 31 years old. It's not like he's 34 asking to be extended. So I think it could make sense. But like that, it's not even the Chad Clifton deal, because I think Chad Clifton was 32 or 33 when they did that back in the day. I think it would make sense to extend him. And then you've got this offensive line. If Jordan Morgan is the player you think, then you've extended all these guys. The problem is, okay, Zach Tom, like, what is he? And if you're going to maybe, like, remember Bukowski said he's a center in the eyes of some people with the team. Could Anthony Belton in a year? This is something that I just am starting to noodle over as we're like getting the word that maybe Elton Jenkins is not healthy. Could Anthony Belton be your right tackle, 6'6", 336, built like a right tackle? And then Zach Tom becomes your center, and you're paying him. Now you'd have to extend him as a right tackle now, because he's a right tackle now, and then move him to center. I don't know if that makes sense, but from an allocation of resources standpoint, it wouldn't be crazy if you have two left tackle and a right tackle on rookie contracts.
Yeah.
And you're paying a right tackle contract to a center. That's fine if he's really good. And if they think he's an all pro, then it probably is fine. And then you've got to figure out right guard. So then you're leaving a hole here. So there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot to try and figure out. And I think this year is the Packers. They've proven they will just let the play on the field sort it out. You just go, you'll compete, and they'll figure out who the best five is.
And the money might be inverted. There's money going somewhere, even if it's not going to the tackles, it goes to the guards. I guess it all comes out in the wash anyways. So Matthew Golden in the first round, while a wide receiver in round one is unlikely for the Packers, that did not surprise me, especially the way the board fell. But Savion Williams in the third, was that the thing that a lot of Packers fans needed to realize, oh, this team is a little bit more complicated than just fix the defense and you're good? The offense actually had issues too, and this is the Packers addressing that.
I think they prove that they're more complicated than we have these types and we stick to them too. Because the Packers with receivers, they prize production. And Savion Williams did not have it. Did not have high-level production at
Matthew
TCU.
Golden had production, but not like Packers first round or second round production.
Correct. Didn't even
have
have 60 catches last year. Did not have 1,000 yards in any season in his collegiate career. Same with Savion Williams. Neither of these are no doubt surefire Packers types. I thought Matthew Golden, I was just sort of like, yeah, he fits, he checks some boxes. But in the first round, I don't think he's the kind of player that is going to make the Packers break a almost 25-year streak of not taking receivers in the first round. Well, surprise. And then Savion Williams, same sort of deal. I thought Jack Besh was the TCU receiver they would covet. But I think Matt LaFleur maybe feeling himself a little bit, going, hey, let's just find one of these guys and see if we can do something where we get the ball to him in a million different ways and find ways to, like, I mentioned this the other day on Locked On Packers. Remember Early McVay on 3rd and 12, Jared Goff, they would run receiver screens to like Robert Woods and pick it up in an inordinate amount of time. And you're just sort of like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, this is nonsense. Well, that could be Savion Williams. Do the Packers have a player right now who you would feel good about that play with? Maybe Jaden Reed, maybe.
Is he going to catch it? But that's
And
also
then
the problem.
this is also the Savion Williams problem. Like, he has some issues catching the ball. But I think he is, and I've been saying this over the last couple of weeks, I think Savion Williams is the matchup proofing of this offense. Have a player who you can just spit the ball out to at any time, and just they're the scheme. It's not like we've talked about schemed up touches. Oh yeah, they can do schemed up touches for him. Yeah, but you can also just throw a little like hitch route to him, or a tunnel screen, or those little pop passes that they love to play with Jaden Reed. I'd rather have Savion Williams get those passes, get those little like gadget play things, and now you can put him on the field at the same time. Put him in the backfield. Run Wildcat if you want to get crazy. Tucker Kraft, you don't have to be the only guy taking those quarterback sneak snaps. Now you've got another guy you can just like I almost said a different word, mess around with. And like, that's why I kept saying this draft is so fun, Grant, because Matthew Golden can fly. Savion Williams can make, like, if you put his 15 best plays in a cut up, you'd go, this is the best player in the draft.
Yep.
Like, he's Travis Hunter, because he just makes these incredible plays. And so you're just adding some variance. You're adding some lightning strikes to your offense. I like it.
So lastly, you are a brilliant Packers mind, as you've evidenced over the last couple of minutes, but also you've gotten some things right about the Bucs, including Doc Rivers like months in advance, which is still one of the funniest things to ever happen on Twitter, and an absolute Hail Mary that landed. You think the Bucs put out this story? Give me 2 minutes on that.
Okay, so I was trying to like fill in the pieces here. This is something that I like to do. Me and Jason, we love to do this story gets out there. Why? How? And not to put too fine a point on like the Packers fans who want to know why and how. Like, no, I want to know why this information is getting out. Who does it benefit from it being out there? And at first I was like, okay, this is probably just other teams who want Giannis. This is always where the Giannis chatter is coming from for years, right? That's the funny piece about Shams going, well, for the first time in his career, he's thinking about other stuff. And it's like, then what have the last 5 years been about at ESPN, Shams? Tell me that. Like, explain that to me.
They've been wasting their time.
Yes. Well, and wasting our time as well. But we knew that. Like, Bucs fans knew that, right? But so, okay, he could have said, and he is very specific, unlike some reporters, he is specific. If this is from other teams, like the sense I get is that teams around the league believe this thing. He didn't say that. And if it's close to Giannis, if he's getting this from Giannis's camp, he could say a source close to Giannis Antetokounmpo without saying it's the agent, whatever. He didn't do that. What did he say? He said, sources tell me. This to me is Milwaukee going, hey, rest of the league, we don't know what Giannis wants quite yet. We're going to make the case to him. But if you want to talk, we're here. We're going to be in Chicago at the combine, just like everybody else. Come talk to us so that if Giannis wants to stay, no harm, no foul. But if he doesn't, you've already had preliminary discussions. You know what the market is. And I don't think Giannis is going to be the kind of guy who says LA and only LA or Miami and only Miami. I just don't think he's going to do that. And so they'll be able to say, Giannis, we appreciate everything you've done. We accept your decision. Oklahoma City is willing to offer Chet and Jalen Williams and these picks. And so you can go win with Shea. We'd love to do that deal. Let's just get this done. So you start the bidding early. It's like knowing when something is going to come up for auction. It's like a pocket listing on a house, right? Before it even hits the market. Let's get some offers in here. Let's see what we can get in here. And then that's more time to drive up the value, more teams that can get in. If you're the Bucs, if I were the Bucs, it's what I would do. And then that sort of put the pieces together for me. I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And guess what? New owner, the Haslams come in. They want to leave their mark. Would you put it past the Haslam family to just call Shams and say, hey, we think Giannis wants to go. Like, no, let's get this out. Let's get that out there. It would really help us out.
Let's get everyone hot and bothered. I respect the strategy. I still don't think Giannis is going to go anywhere. But to your point, then there's no damage done because everybody on ESPN all the time is talking about how like this is Giannis's time. So this
and the Bucs get to say, hey, we didn't say anything. This is not coming from us. Like we want you here. We want you here.
That would be insane. So it's a perfect crime, a victimless crime. But Peter Bukowski, I appreciate your time. I look forward to Locked On Packers tomorrow now that I've gotten a little primer.
All right. Thanks, Grant.
Yeah, no, thank you, Peter Bukowski. Appreciate his time. Locked On Packers, The Leap, subscribe to his newsletter. They do actual reporting, and yet the Packer world seemingly hates following it or giving it credit, but that's fine. That's Peter's battle to fight, not mine. We'll come back in 3 minutes. And after 5 o'clock, some commentary from Packers coordinators. Some of it we touched on. I'll give you the good stuff. I'll give you right from the coordinator's mouth after 5 o'clock. A lot more of the show coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, Zach's update coming up at 5 o'clock. Coordinator audio, straight from Green Bay. That's coming up in just a couple minutes as well, but we got time to get a call in. Efficiency, name of the game. Here we go, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Southside Scott.
Hey, Scott, what's up?
Well, you broke me.
I broke you?
You did. I am claiming my affiliate to the Brewers over the Rockies.
Is this all because they fired Bud Black?
They should have done that a long time ago.
Oh, it's not what most are saying.
The ownership should sell the team, but
Well.
the reason why I was calling in wasn't for that, but
Okay.
I want to throw that out there.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. The Nuggets. Do you think they can finish out for the next round?
At this point, they're down 2-1, right? Or what's the series at?
It's tied 2-2.
It's tied 2-2.
Not gonna hurt my feelings, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to worry about that. And I appreciate you getting your thoughts in here, Scott. I got to go. I don't think the Nuggets will win. I think if the Nuggets would have played the Thunder, here's the take. If they had played in the first round, I think the Nuggets might win. I think the Thunder are deeper, and now the repetitiveness of these games and the schedule starting to matter a little bit more, and I think maybe that's what we saw in Game 4. I think the Nuggets in a standalone 7 games would beat the Thunder. I think because the playoffs are dragging on and the Thunder are so much deeper, I think they're ultimately going to win. It might take 7 games, but I'll take the Thunder for that reason. Hour number 2, we're going to get to some Packers audio next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, could Giannis Antetokounmpo play somewhere other than Milwaukee? According to ESPN Shams Charania, the Bucks superstar is, for the first time, open to the possibility that his long-term future wouldn't be in Milwaukee. Charania reported this morning that Giannis hasn't made any decisions on what's next and that his agents in the Bucks will have talks about his future, but that he is willing to at least consider the idea that he could move on from the only home he's known in the U.S. since being taken in the 2013 NBA draft. Turning to the Brewers, they avoided the sweep yesterday down in Tampa with a 4-2 win helped them snap a 3-game losing streak. Before the game, the club sent Tobias Myers back to AAA after giving up 2 runs in 4 innings on Saturday. GM Matt Arnold was asked for the reasoning for that move.
He was a little bit inconsistent when we got him back. Showed some flashes of what we saw a little bit last year, but overall, we thought he needed a little bit of a reset, and we have some guys coming back, and so we needed the innings, I think, for the next couple of days. Tobias has been a big part of this. He will continue to be a big part of this, but just in terms of getting guys back, also creating a spot here for Brandon Woodruff coming up was an important factor for us as well.
In addition to getting Woodruff back, Aaron Savale also close to returning after missing more than 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. Milwaukee will open a series against Cleveland tonight. First pitch is at 5:10.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, Wisconsin added its 7th commitment in their 2026 recruiting class this morning, and 3-star linebacker Aiden Reeder. Cincinnati product had more than 20 offers, chose the Badgers over Iowa, Minnesota, and others. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
They are all watching our show right now because we have breaking news at this moment, and Shams joins us live in advance of the lottery with that and the latest on Giannis and his future. Shams, take it away. What do we have?
Greeny, I'm here in Chicago. Sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the first time in his career, is open-minded about exploring whether his best fit moving forward is outside of Milwaukee. So whether he's going to remain as a Milwaukee Buck or move on potentially, he's going to explore that, spend time exploring that, considering those options.
Do you think that you can still win that second championship here in Milwaukee after a third straight first-round exit?
I'm not going to do this. Whatever I say, I know how it's going to translate. Wish I was still competing and going back to Milwaukee. I don't know.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
I feel bad because right before we broke at the end of the 4 o'clock hour, Southside Scott called in. And I love Southside Scott. He's come to events when we've done broadcasts at Flipside or wherever. And he's just a Denver sports fan. But he wants the experience that everyone else is getting. So he just calls and talks about his teams, which I'm not an expert on. And I knew what I was doing right at the end of the hour when we wrapped up our conversation, and I hung up the phone on him. And as soon as I hung up, I said, I know Scott's now not going to be able to hear what I said because the Brewers are on. I should have left Scott on hold. Scott, I knew it as soon as I pushed the button, and then he texted in and said, I didn't get to hear your response. Brewers baseball on the radio and lacrosse. Yes. For some of our affiliates, the Brewers play in 10 minutes. So the pregame would have kicked us off about a half hour ago. You can always watch on the live stream. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, at Wisco Grant. He wanted to know if I thought the Nuggets or the Thunder would win. I just think at this point in the playoffs, the Thunder are so much deeper and younger. They're going to hold on, I think, because they're a little deeper and they can keep plowing forward. Another game against the same opponent, another game against the same opponent. Less time in between games, less rest. And I think in the first round, if they had played 7 games right in the first round, I just think the Nuggets might have won. I also think that Aaron Gordon has pulled a couple plays out of his rear end that respectfully, he probably is not going to make over the course of an entire playoff series or playoff run. And I really like Aaron Gordon. Maybe he does. I'm sure there are people who felt that way about Chris Middleton once upon a time. So it does happen. Before we get into coordinator audio from the Packers specialists, let's call it today, special teams, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, I have a comment or two for each that we can discuss. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, we're going to take one call because I'm a sucker and they called during Zach's update. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Why you put me back on the South Side?
Oh, Scott. So you heard, Scott, as soon as I hung up on you, I knew, I'm like, he's not going to be able to hear this because you've asked me before to leave you on hold. Doesn't that make sense, though? The Thunder are younger. Yeah. They have way more bodies. I just think over a long series, that's going to be the tiny little edge they need.
Right. I agree with you 100%. I called back in just to hear your broadcast.
I'm glad.
Not to take my call.
I'm glad it was you the whole time. Yeah, I mean, Jokic is unbelievable, but why isn't Jokic the last couple of games he hasn't been as good? Do you think he's wearing down, or have the Thunder figured something out with him, or why is that? Because they're dead in the water if Jokic isn't unbelievable.
I think Thunder figured him out, and the Nuggets are done. I don't want them to be done, but I think they are.
All right, I got you.
I mean, I'm full Denver fan. You know that.
I do. I'm well aware. Yeah. I'm not sure that. Thank you, Scott. I'm not sure that I agree with you on the fact that they should have fired Bud Black years ago. I think he's a fine manager. I think some of those baseball teams, it just doesn't matter when they're that hapless in the front office. And the red flag has been raised on the Rockies multiple times over the years. Like when they traded Arenado to the Cardinals and basically paid the Cardinals to take him a couple of years ago. It's like, well, that's not something that a reasonable, functional team does. And then this offseason, I hear that the Brewers called and inquired about Ryan McMahon. I believe it's Ryan McMahon, right? Third baseman? Scott, if you were still on hold, you could tell me, but I can't just keep you on hold the whole show. Yeah, Ryan McMahon, baseball infielder, third baseman. He's been horrible this year. He's hitting .211. Actually, he'd fit right in Milwaukee. He's been bad, and he actually makes reasonable money. I think he makes, and I don't want to be wrong, it's something like 12 or 15 million a year, which for some teams is a rounding error, but for a team like the Brewers or the Rockies, like that's not nothing. Yeah, he's set to make 12 million this year, 16 next, 16 in 2027. The Brewers called and inquired, and the Rockies were basically not interested, which should tell you all you need to know about the Rockies. Not only are they're stupid, but they're not cheap. They're just stupid. Like, it's a weird mix. Like, the Pirates are dumb and cheap. The Brewers are cheap. They're not dumb. The Rockies are not cheap, and they are stupid. And that's like, no, we're not trading you, Ryan McMahon. We want to pay him $16 million to suck ass on a bad team the next couple of years. It's a little bizarre. Anyways, I appreciate that Southside Scott is a Denver fan living in La Crosse, and it's like, I just want to have sports radio, so I'm gonna call in and just ask about my teams. A couple of comments from Packers coordinators today, and we're going to go in order. They went Bisaccia, Hafley, and Stenovich. So we're just going to start with Bisaccia. I have about a minute-long comment here that I want to play. I thought this was his most interesting comment, and he talked for pert near 15 minutes, which is way longer than he normally talks. He's normally the briefest, him and Stenovich. Hafley will go. LaFleur will give a normal presser because he's a head coach, and those are a little bit more uniform. But Bisaccia made the comment that, I thought about retirement. I thought about doing something else, but I'm obsessed. I want to win a Super Bowl. And he made some comment like, I felt like I've let Matt LaFleur down the last couple of years. So I think it was Wildy, I'm not sure, asked the follow-up, well, what do you mean you've met Matt LaFleur down or you've let him down? And this was his answer.
How do you feel like you failed him?
Well, I just think we've given up, 4 big plays in 3 years and 3 seasons. And I think each one of those plays, it just happens to be so magnified because of the way we play that it's, to my thoughts, it kind of costs us the game. We played really good in the San Francisco 49er game in the playoffs, but yet Keyshawn did fumble, although we recovered it, but we missed a big field goal, right? Go to Philly, we start the game, we got a fumble, and then we got a missed field goal, right, by a guy that hadn't missed really all year. And the Chicago game, we give up a big play, which we should have been ready for in that game. So it ends up being at the end, we kick a field goal, but we still didn't win the game. So I just have a high standard for what we're trying to do and the way in which we're trying to do it. And I feel like that's kind of how every game, we have a one-play mentality in the kicking game. We don't get 3 downs to make it right on offense or defense. You get one shot to punt that ball, you get one shot to kick it off, return it, and so on. And so I think in that manner or that sense or that standard, that's kind of where I feel like we've failed him at times.
So he brings up the Bears game again, that punt return. It's like, I should have had him better prepared. Maybe it was a really good play by the Bears, and they executed it well. Like, sometimes you do have to tip your cap. I would have liked the Packers to be a little bit better prepared, but sometimes it's like the other team just gotcha. It does happen. The thing in that game that bothered me so much more and continues to bother me into the offseason and into next season is like, how did you two numbnuts on the sideline, Bisaccia and LaFleur, mess up the end of game sequence where you went for it on 4th? What even happened? Do you guys remember clearly? They went for it on 4th down because they wanted to possess the ball till the end of the game, but then they ended up getting it, and then they take a timeout to stop the clock, and then they kick a field goal that was longer than most thought they would, but then he made it, but now there's a minute left, and the Bears go get the game-winning field goal. Like, it was just bizarre. Like, what was going on the sideline? You're standing right there. It's not like you're up in the box. And I would assume, I don't know this to be true, but I would assume with all their headsets, like Matt LaFleur can talk to Hafley whenever he wants, talk to whoever. So it shouldn't be an excuse if you're up in the box versus down on the field. But Matt LaFleur and Rich Bisaccia are standing hip to hip on the sideline. And if that wasn't enough, Bisaccia is the assistant head coach. He has more reason than anyone to have an open line of communication with the head coach. On top of being the special teams coordinator, should have been the perfect mix for being on the same page and nailing that sequence. Instead, Bisaccia misleads LaFleur about how much range McManus has on that, cold Sunday afternoon in early January. So he thinks, well, we got to take a timeout and pick up more yardage. And then they don't pick up the yardage. So then they kick and there's a minute left. Like, how do you guys mess that up? Like, that's more what I'm concerned about. You give up a punt return. Okay. I think it was like the only one all year. It does happen every once in a while. If you just execute and communicate and do your job, not only as special teams coordinator, but assistant head coach, that should have been easy. That should have been a layup. And for whatever reason, it wasn't. And I think of all the things that happened last year, of all the gaffes that the Packers made, and look, they had a pretty good season. So it's not like it was a comedy from errors from week one all the way through the wild card game in Philly. They had plenty of good moments too, but of all of the things that bothered me, I think that sequence was the worst because it was just so avoidable. It would be one thing if you had a rookie head coach or your coach was Matt Eberflus, but you have a coach who's coached in NFC championship games, high-level playoff games, meaningful regular season games. Matt LaFleur is as experienced as you'll have for a guy who's coached, 5 or 6 years? And if you take out Andy Reid, Harbaugh, McVay, Shanahan, like he's right there. Tomlin, he's right there. We talked about this at the end of the year. He's right there as one of the most tenured, experienced coaches in the NFL. So why is he botching that? Especially with Bisaccia right there. Like it's weird because it was so long ago and it's one play, but if I would have been at the presser today, I would have asked him like, hey man, now with a couple months to reflect, like what the hell went wrong at the end of the Bears game? Because it straight up cost him a win against a rival, which matters to me. I know Malik Willis was playing, but it matters to me. A couple comments from Jeff Hafley. All three of them I selected for different reasons. This is utilitarian as it gets. This is true housekeeping. He was asked how they plan to employ Nate Hobbs, the new corner.
I see Nate can play outside and Nate can play inside. So we're gonna have him do both. His film was, when you're getting ready for free agency and you're evaluating tape, it's one thing that you love about him. He's had a lot of success inside, and I thought his tape outside was equally as good. He is competitive. He's tough. He is physical. He plays the game fast. You can tell he loves it. It just jumps off the tape. I don't know if you guys watched any of it, but it certainly jumps off the tape the way the guy plays, and he's been a great addition. And he does give you that versatility where you can move him around. And again, I'm a big fan of that.
So I'm all for them moving around. The only reason I play that cut, it's not like, well, if you listen to his tone, that's straight explanatory. Like it just gives us a view into how they view Nate Hobbs. He better be able to play a little boundary at least. He doesn't have to play there all the time. But I really hope that he doesn't become like the slot guy all year because they have guys who can do that. They're so deep at safety and they're not shallow at corner. Like they have bodies and, Jair coming back would make a big difference, but like they don't need another versatile chess piece defender. This goes back to our conversations about the Packers first round pick. We were talking about them potentially taking Will Johnson, the Michigan corner, or Jade Baker, or the cat from Kentucky, whose name, Maxwell Harrison, already escaping me. Like we were talking about the possibility of a corner at 23. I said, look, you want to take a corner because a great one falls to you, fine, but it's got to be a guy that you believe can play outside. You don't need another big nickel. Keyshawn Nixon is probably more of a safety or a slot corner. Nate Hobbs can do that. And what's his face can do that as well. He did it most of the year. Javon Bullard. Like you have those guys. So I'm fine with them moving Hobbs around, and I'm glad that they don't have him necessarily pegged for one particular role. I want to see how he fits in with all the other guys. You don't close off any doors. I get that. But if he can't play any outside corner, like if he ends up just being the full-time slot guy, that's not the end of the world if he's good at it, but I just don't know that it's the best allocation of resources, let's say. One more, and this is to further make a bigger point about Jeff Hafley, but here's a question that was answered. Question from Matt Schneidman. Do you guys want to rush 4 like you originally planned to last year, or did you see some things you like last year using more exotic blitzes? Like, what kind of defense do you want to be now after your first year?
Yeah, we'll incorporate it for sure. I think that's one area that we need to coach better, and I think we need to see that translate to the field. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things that we did, looking back and really spending time in the last few weeks that, I kind of thought would go differently, but then you evolve, right? I mean, the exotics had success, so we ran them. People will have that film now, so they'll be studying the exotics in the off season. So again, we just can't sit here and say it worked last year. It probably won't work as well, right? Because people are studying it right now. So can we rush with 4? Can we rush with 3? But we have to get better. And I'm talking to myself. I need to be better this year. Our coaches need to coach better. Our players need to play better. We just don't want to stay the same. We want to be better. We lost in the playoffs. That wasn't good enough. We felt like we could have played better even in that.
What was the question about again? You remember? We're 55 seconds in. You remember what the question was? It was about blitzing or rushing with 4.
Last game when the score was 16-10.
Talk about the
Eagles.
Eagles.
Gave up a field goal. I get it. We did some good things in that game, but we could have had another stop, right? So I could have done a better job there. And then who knows what would have happened. So you got to look at it from that lens. And, if we're rushing with 4 early in the season, does that mean we're going to be rushing well at the end of the season with 4? No, like we gotta figure it out as we go, but I think we'll be able to do that better. I'm confident there.
Wide-ranging answer. Talks about scheme, recalling things from last year. I mean, he took an answer the size of a mango, blew it up to an answer the size of the whole world or the solar system, and then condensed it back down and to bring it back to the original question. I mean, that's a minute 26 seconds.
But I think we'll be able to do that better.
Yeah, we'll be able to do that better. Lands the plane at the end. So I play that to set up this. Listen to this question and answer. This is a guy who gives a minute 26 second answer, talking about all blows the scope out to the biggest of big pictures, only to bring it back in close to the question. And then this question and answer. This is a lot shorter.
Throughout the season, you were nothing but extremely positive about Ja. I know you like the other guys you got. You like CB, you like Keyshawn. You're interested now in what you have in Hobbs. But what does it do for your defense if somehow the people above your pay grade make things work out with him? What would it do for you to have him back?
Question from Jason Wilde, 17 seconds. Answer from Jeff Hafley.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that one up to see what happens rather than talk on any hypotheticals to answer that fairly. No, I respect the question, and I hope you respect my answer on that one.
Question was as long as the answer. From Jeff Hafley. Cool, read you the phone book up there if you let him, if you put a microphone in his face. This is so bizarre. This is what we were talking about with Bukowski a half hour ago. And if you've tuned in since, go back and listen to that interview because Pete gave us some good stuff on Jair and what he thinks is going on. It's so weird. Never seen anything like it. We've seen players request trades and then ultimately back off of that. We've seen players, I'm going to hold out if I don't get a contract, and then they eventually show up. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. It's so bizarre. It got Jeff Hafley to give an answer that was a second shorter than the question. Now, it was a Jason Wilde question, but still. Let's take a call here before we get a break. 608-321-1670. By the way, we'll get to more audio from Packers coordinators next, but I want to work a call in. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills, how we doing? Happy Monday.
I am excellent, Vagabond John. It's funny. You play a little audio from a Packers defensive coordinator and you just appear.
I had planned on calling in. I hadn't listened to most of the show. I was busy with the day job. I planned on calling with a totally different take, different angle, but I love what you played because what I've been seeing all online today is, man, Hafley is just built to be a head coach. Man, Hafley won't be here long. And then I listened to the audio and I said, Grant, this guy's born to be a politician.
Yeah,
or maybe
right. Like
GM.
he talks a lot. He's expressive and he's great for the talk show because every Wednesday or whenever they put the coordinators up, Bill and I are like, great, we'll have some good sound. Like he'll give us something, but to me, that doesn't translate to being a good head coach. It's more of a politician skill. I agree.
Grant, he was just a head coach. He already did that. And that team hated him as their head coach.
I feel like you've reached with some of those takes, but I don't know enough about it to disagree.
Well, I just go by the alumni recent hires at my company that went to school there. I guess boots on the ground. Added to
the students there hated him? Well, they didn't win. So, yeah, obviously. What is he, Luke Fickell? Of course nobody likes him.
90th ranked defense in college football. But I digress. I will mention what I mentioned on the morning talk show host. A lot of people have just been on me and been like, yeah, just give it up already for defensive coordinators.
Well,
and the point is, when you are an incumbent, your predecessor is as important in conversation as long as you exist, right? Jordan Love will be compared to Aaron Rodgers as long as it exists. Paul Chryst, Luke Fickell, that conversation is going to happen until Fickell's gone and we move on to the next thing, right?
True.
We're going to be talking about Joe Biden until the day our current guy leaves office, and then we'll never talk about Joe Biden again ever, right?
Yeah.
Like the predecessor is relevant as long as the incumbent is in office. And so I'm sorry, everybody, the Joe Barry conversation is not going away anytime soon. And absolutely, the jury on who is better is not out. We gave up 30 points to every good team we played last year.
Is this just
and
commentary on is what you're doing right now? Is that just commentary on people gassing up his press conference skills, or are you taking this somewhere else?
Well, it's not really going anywhere else. I've just had quite a few people reach out and saying like, hey, this is kind of done. Jeff Hafley's clearly better. And I'm looking at the results from last year and I'm thinking, we added Xavier McKinney. We added Edrin Cooper. So we, played the AFC South. I'm not ready to give up that question's answered. I hope Hafley's better, but we're going to get a damn good answer. And I can't wait to win-loss the schedule as soon as that sucker's released this week. Because I tell you what, boys, we got some quarterbacks coming to Lambeau Field. But Grant, I will save my Badgers commentary. I just put a tweet out. I think it's fascinating. Maybe you can poke Jesse this week on a question around it, because a lot of roster building conversations happening right now. And Wisconsin's number 3 in the Big Ten in a really interesting stat that we'll talk about later.
Was your, by the way, is the thing that you're referring to, because I could bring this up with Jesse, is your tweet the how many Big Ten titles would Paul Chryst have if Ohio State and Penn State were sanctioned during his era and not Bielema's? Because I thought that was interesting. I'm like, that was kind of an interesting thought experiment.
That answer is the limit does not exist. My question is, how many starters for this upcoming 2025 season are from 22 and beyond? And Wisconsin is number 3 in the Big Ten in returning starters from pre-Luke Fickell era. So it just continues the empty cupboard argument, which is another one some folks are tired of. But look, it's either this or we talk about a sub 500 Brewers team. Come on.
You would never continue to beat a topic that people are tired of. I appreciate it, Vagabond John. Like a dog with a chew toy. You just won't let that Joe Barry. You don't have to let the Joe Barry thing go. You need to stop absorbing every bit of Jeff Hafley discourse as an extension of Joe Barry. And I get what you're saying about the incumbents. It's a good point, right? We're always going to compare the person to the last person. It's totally fair. I just don't know that every Jeff Hafley thing is a Joe Barry thing the way that you think it is. But it's part of the fun of Sports Talk Radio is we can kind of make things what we want. We're not under oath. This is not serious talk. We're not forming opinions and biases in the American people. We're just talking about dumb football games. Let's take a break. When we come back, interesting audio from Adam Stenavich, and we discussed this with Pete if you missed it. There could be potential drama or maybe not drama is the right word, but uncertainty with Elton Jenkins and his role with the Packers, his upcoming contract with the Packers. We'll get to that next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage. Friday night, it's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night, Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Throughout the season, you were nothing but extremely positive about Ja. I know you like the other guys you got. You like CV, you like Keyshawn. You're interested now in what you have in Hobbs. But what does it do for your defense if somehow the people above your pay grade make things work out with him? What would it do for you to have him back?
Yeah, I think we'll leave that one up to see what happens rather than talk on any hypotheticals to answer that fairly. No, I respect the question, and I hope you respect my answer on that one. Yeah, so I'd rather not talk about hypotheticals. And whenever everything pans out and we figure out who's here, we will do the very best we can and put them in great positions and making plays. And when I find out, we'll do that. All right.
Just thought that was an interesting answer. We played that in the opening segment of the hour. We'll play it one more time just to hammer it home. This Jair situation is very weird. That is my take at this time. It got Jeff Hafley to give a non-answer at a press conference. Jeff Hafley doesn't give non-answers. He is the answer. He will give answers about his answer. He'll riff Jeff Open Mike Hafley up there. In fact, that question was only asked because after, I don't know who the voice was, if it was Sarah Quick or one of the Packers PR people, and I've never been at a Packers press conference, so I would know who it was. You hear go, all right, one more, and then that question was answered, and Jeff was like, well, this is the last time they get me until he took more. He's like, it's fine. I'll do it. I'll do a second encore. Why not? That was the only reason that question was asked. It's because Hafley's like, bring it on. And then he gave a non-answer. It's very unlike him, which means the situation is something that's been discussed and schemed and arranged behind closed doors up there in Green Bay. Very interesting. I'll continue to take your calls, 608-321-1670, and the Monday mailbag at 5:50. If you want to send me your questions, grantbills21 at gmail.com. I will address them. I've seen a couple coming in, but I saw a Pope question, and I saw... What's the other? I guess it doesn't matter. We'll get to it at 5:50, but you can send me your emails if you want. Here's another comment that I snipped. This is from Adam Stenovich, asked about Elton Jenkins and his new role as Brian Gutekunst. Told us directly he will be moving to center.
So what does Elton think of playing center?
I think he's open to it. The conversation that we've had with him, he's got a lot of experience there, and he was open to it, excited about it, so ready to go.
So that's not why he's not participating so far in the offseason?
No, he's here for other, or not here for other reasons than that.
So interesting. Anyone know what to do with that? We saw the strip club story. I'm actually on Elton Jenkins' side, big time in that. Sounds like he got worked over at the strip club. He's promised a private area or a bottle service. He's like, you guys aren't holding up your end of the deal. I want my money back. So then they got their money back, and the police showed up. But as I told Bill earlier on his show today, it's like, I've never ran a strip club personally, but if I did, I would take care of clientele that make tens of millions of dollars every year. Professional athletes who bring their other rich professional athlete friends. Those are the people I wouldn't want to lose their business, let's just say. And I don't know what percentage, let me ask you this. What percentage of a strip club's business is repeat business? You know what I mean? I would be interested to know that. Like, a lot of people go to strip clubs, bachelor party, what I don't know, retirement party, birthday. Why does anyone go to a strip club? Special occasions, right? But how much of a percentage is that of the business, and how much of it is repeat business? I wouldn't know. But I would think that if I ran a strip club, I would not want to rock the boat with clients, customers, let's say, like Elton Jenkins. So glad that worked out. Brian Gutekunst came out and said, Elton Jenkins is going to be our center. This is not the type of question and answer I would expect then to hear weeks later.
So what does Elton think of playing center?
I think he's open to it. The conversation that we've had with him, he's got a lot of experience there, and he was open to it, excited about it, so ready to go.
So that's not why he's not participating so far in the offseason?
No, he's here for or not here for other reasons than that.
Some more Packers breaking news. This is hardly breaking. I saw this tweet. I get tweet notifications. Like, I have them turned on for Schefter and Rosenthal and the like. Adam Schefter tweeted this 3 minutes ago, and there's a picture of Jaden Reed. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Packers GM Brian Gutekunst, I think he spelled Gutekunst. He spelled it Gutekunst. Nice job, Adam. Tight much? Dumbass. Anyway, Packers GM Brian Gutekunst met last week with Jaden Reed's agent after Drew Rosenhaus, or his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, read much, Grant, to clarify the wide receiver's status in Green Bay after the team drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. The team said it will not affect Reed's status as its top receiver, per source. That is the lamest thing I think I have seen in a long time. We got to assure Jaden Reed, dude, catch the ball. Like, I don't know. But I'm the number one guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all you, man. You're the number, whatever. Just, okay, sure. Yeah, you're the number one guy. All right, whatever, man. Glad we cleared that up. I'm going to take this break a little early because we don't have anyone on the phone. We'll come back. If anyone wants to get in, you're more than welcome at 608-321-1670. Wide open phone line, so you won't have to wait. I'll give you a couple more Packers thoughts, a couple thoughts on the Brewers, and then we'll leave ourselves plenty of time to wrap up the show with the Monday mailbag and your emails, grantbills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah! Yes! The Monday mailbag. We'll get to that in about 10 minutes. Submit your questions. GrantBills21 at gmail.com. I can't get over this tweet from Adam Schefter about Jaden Reed. I've never seen something this stupid. And I get how these insiders work. I get how their job works, right? You know, the agent gives you the inside scoop on something, so you fluff them in there. They're client a little bit and they're negotiating deals. I get it. I do. What do I do with this? Packers GM Brian Gutekunst met last week with Jaden Reed's agent Drew Rosenhaus to clarify the wide receiver's status in Green Bay after the team drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. The team said it will not affect Reed's status as its top wide receiver per source. I just have to know how that conversation went. Like Brian Gutekunst, he's dealing with whatever this Jair thing is. Elton Jenkins got caught in a bad spot, should report whatever establishment he was at to the Better Business Bureau, but he's caught up in some heat in a strip club in Atlanta. Okay. And Drew Rosenhaus gives Brian Gutekunst a call. Hey, man, we got to sit down and chat. And Goody's like, oh, for God's sake. What? So, all right. Yeah, Drew, nice to see you. Yeah, I love working with you. All right, take a seat. What do you need? We just want to make sure that Jaden Reed's status as the team's number one wide receiver isn't affected by these draft selections. And Goody's like, yeah, man. I mean, your guy, no way. Yeah, your guys are number one. Yeah, he's 100. Yeah, don't worry about it, man. You can't. He's number one, 100%. Yeah, he's our guy or whatever it is you're asking about. What? Wait, you know what? Sure. Yeah, you're good. You're the number one. Yep. All right, meeting's over. I gotta go calling a man in Atlanta about a strip club. He wants to stay at guard or get more money to play center. Like I got bigger fish to fry here. What is that? Thank God, from the perspective of Jaden Reed and his camp, thank God Christian Watson blew out his ACL. Can you imagine how much their heads would be spinning if there was another wide receiver in the mix? Dude, just catch the ball. J.A. Krebs tweets and says, who the hell is Reed, the Packers' top wide receiver? I don't think he is. He's a slot guy. I mean, I still think he's their number one guy. But these young wide receivers, and I complain about Gen X or Gen Z. Is this Gen Z? The ones who were born in this century? These kids, man. I complain about them, but typically in football, they're not as bad because football is a sport where you're actually coached and you're yelled at and you're led and you need to fight and you don't just go, pleasure yourself at an AAU gym for the Evan Floods of the world to take a picture of you. Again, no disrespect to Evan Flood. Evan Flood does great work. It's just that whole circuit is blech. So this doesn't happen with football players as much. It's not as intoxicating all the time listening to these kids demand this and that because football is a man that demands or a game that demands plenty of them. So you don't see this as much, but this is just weird. The team said it will not affect Reed's status as its top receiver. Yeah, whatever you need to hear, Mr. Rosenhaus. What did the conversation between Jaden Reed and Drew Rosenhaus sound like? Like, hey, Drew, I just want to make sure, am I going to be the number one wide receiver? And Drew's on the other end like, I don't know. We can set up a meeting, Jaden. I'll look right into that, Jaden, a client who's making me, how much money. He hasn't even gotten his extension yet. I mean, he probably makes fine money, but all right, set a meeting with Brian. I want to make sure my status isn't in danger. It's like, oh, Jesus H. Oh my God. I gotta chase Tyreek Hill all over Timbuktu. All of his baby mamas he wants out of Miami. I got to call down there every other day to calm him down. And I got Jaden Reed. I have Jaden Reed wanting to make sure his role is secure. Yeah. Jaden will get right on that, buddy. That's exactly the top of everyone's priority list. AJ in Janesville says, I rewatched the condensed version of the Packers-Eagles playoff game over the weekend. I know I have no life. Oh, come on. Still no idea how Nixon didn't have a clear recovery on the opening kickoff, and that did change the game. Hard to pin that on Rich, but I would also like for all of this, we got to be better talk to come to roost because he sounds like a broken record. Oh, no. I mean, he's only been here 3 years. I mean, come on, man. Who is he, Luke Fickell? This takes time to turn around a special teams unit. Yeah, it was. And for those of you, this is Rich Bisaccia talking about all the ways that he's failed Matt LaFleur over the years because he brought it up and someone was like, can you give us a little more on that?
How do you feel like you failed him?
Well, I just think we've given up, 4 big plays in 3 years and 3 seasons. And I think each one of those plays, it just happens to be so magnified because of the way we play that it's, to my thoughts, it kind of costs us the game. We played really good in the San Francisco 49er game in the playoffs, but yet Keyshawn did fumble, although we recovered it, but we missed a big field goal, right? Go to Philly, we start the game, we got a fumble, and then we got a missed field goal, right, by a guy that hadn't missed really all year. In the Chicago game, we give up a big play, which we should have been ready for in that game. So it ends up being at the end, we kick a field goal, but we still didn't win the game. So I just have a high standard for what we're trying to do and the way in which we're trying to do it. And I feel like that's kind of how every game, we have a one-play mentality in the kicking game. You don't get 3 downs to make it right on offense or defense. You get one shot to punt that ball. You get one shot to kick it off, return it, and so on. And so I think in that manner or that sense or that standard, that's kind of where I feel like we've failed them at times.
It's just a lot of words sound like, well, in special teams, we got a 1 down. Just whatever, man. Can you kick the field goal and block the kick? Like, can you cover the kickoff return? Like, that's what I want to know. And I'm still more annoyed at the end of that Bears game with the way that the clock was managed and McManus was managed. They gave up a punt return. Whatever. At least it wasn't in a playoff game. The more annoying thing was that those 2 knobs were on the sideline, LaFleur and Bisaccia. They were both on the sideline, and neither one of them was like, hey, we we feel confident about this. Like, well, maybe he can kick it from here. Maybe he can't. We better take a timeout. Why? I don't know. We just should, just in case the Bears want to, I don't know, go down and kick a game-winning field goal to win the game. Holy balls, Jackson Churio drew a walk. Holy cats. Sal Frelick made a nice catch in right field. I forgot the Brewers were even playing. I haven't checked the score. I don't think there's a score because I haven't seen a score update. There's just not a lot of juice. The ballpark looks pretty empty. This is what weeks and weeks of interleague play will do. This whole season's turned me off to interleague play. We've seen the Yankees and we've seen the Rays and now the Guardians and then the Twins. It's like, this is too much. The Royals, like nobody knows who's on any of these teams. Give me the Reds. Give me the Cardinals. Give me the Cubs. And you know what? Give me National League teams. We've gone way too far in interleague play. This is what we needed was interleague play 30 years ago when not all the games were televised. Now, if you're a baseball nerd, you can watch any team anytime you want. You need to spend a little bit, but such is life in 2025. Your questions to the Monday mailbag, please. I also have a story of how I spent my afternoon. I interacted with the loveliest small business owner. I'll tell you about that on the other side of the break. A little story time. And your emails submitted to the Monday mailbag in form of a question. GrantBills21@gmail.com. I will answer your questions and we'll wrap up the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops.
Charles, I've been writing to you.
She's Got Mail. That's the name of the movie.
That's it, honey.
There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it up. And the more you get up, the more it keeps coming in.
The Monday Mailbag, made possible by your questions. GrantBills21@gmail.com. Please send them there. Do not comment them on the live stream or text them in, because then I got questions all over the place and I can't track them all down. So they got to be in the same spot. Before I get to your questions, brief story time. I needed a pair of pants to be tailored because I'm officiating a wedding this weekend, and we all bought suits for it, which I thought was a reasonable decision, because you wouldn't believe boys and girls of a certain age who, you guys are all suited and tuxed out. You've gone to enough funerals in your life or whatever. You just own a suit. Gentlemen my age, I rented here and there. Renting, you don't save any money. Like, imagine if you went on vacation and it's like, well, we could rent a car. How much is the car? Oh, $30,000. You'd be like, well, why don't we just buy a car? Yeah, obviously. Renting a tux is like $300 these days. Why? I'll just buy one. So we bought a suit. But the pants they're not tailored on the bottom, which now I wonder why I had to take that measurement. That was time that I spent at Men's Warehouse months ago, but whatever, I got the pants. So I need to get them tailored. Naturally, I waited until the week before the wedding. I took them to a tailor shop on Mineral Point Road here in Madison. An older Hmong lady was the only one in there. And I walked through the door, and she was listening to Hmong talk radio. I mean, it was loud. It was overwhelming. She was just sitting at a sewing machine. And she spoke little to no English. I think what she said was, just pant? Like, because all I had in my hand was pants. I'm like, yes. And she goes, put on. And I'm like, put on. I put them on. I just, the box was right in the room. I was just telling what this lady was telling me to do. And then she took like 2 measurements. She put a pin in. And then she said something. I didn't know what. So I started rotating. And she's like, and then I realized she was saying, take off, done. So I took it off and I walked to the counter, and she goes, when need? And I go, Saturday? She go, pick up Friday. I'm like, okay, thank you. She hands me the, see then. Just like 2-word phrases. It was very, very exciting. I think I'll get him back on Friday. I have my ticket to get pants tailored. A very direct Hmong woman. And a lot of Hmongs where I grew up. There's a large Hmong community. But the language barrier is tough. She's running a business. What a beast. Tyler in Mass. Directly from the mailbag now. What is the best question you would ask a contestant in a beauty pageant? I only asked this after Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, participated and finished as the second runner-up in the Miss Maine pageant in Portland this last weekend. This is a good question. You know, I'll turn this on you, Tyler. You know what I would ask a beauty contestant? I would turn it on her. I said, if you were judging someone in a pageant, what would you ask them? Now that's meta. How about that? What would I ask a beauty pageant? I don't know. Who cares? I understand beauty pageants. They're very talented. They're very, I don't know. I don't know what I'd ask them. I'd ask them, I'll stick by my original answer. I would ask them, what would you ask someone in your position? What would you want me to ask you? So I know, Tyler, they say never answer a question with another question, but there you go. Tom, Painter Tom, I believe he goes by, or Teacher Tom, a little bit of both, says, you may have already discussed my question, but I haven't listened to today's show yet. I'll listen tomorrow. Are you glad the Pope is a White Sox fan and not a Cubs fan? Also, will Aaron Rodgers sign an NFL contract before June 30th? I would say no. I think in August he will, or late July. Am I glad the Pope is a White Sox fan? Yeah, although it doesn't matter. I'm just glad that the Cubs fans don't get that thing. It is very Cubs fan-esque to just assume that he was a Cubs fan. Our friend Bart Winkler pointed this out. It's like at Wrigley, they assume every ball off the bat is a home run. They heard the Pope was from Chicago, and they just say, it's a Cubs fan, to the point where the official account is tweeting it out, and then the Pope's brother has got to do a local TV, and he's like, he's never been a Cubs fan. Why are people saying he's a Cubs fan? Pretty despicable thing for bearing false witness against the Pope, the type of thing that you'd see coming from Cubs fans. It is a little odd, and I think I mentioned this on Friday. It's a little odd that the Pope, and I'm Catholic, so I care about this more than some. It is weird that the Pope was like at a World Series game once upon a time. And you can see it on they pulled the television copy. You can see it. Like, it's weird. He taught in Economowalk. This man drove on 94. So we just need to get away from the conclave. We need to just get it to the point where he's doing Pope things all the time. And maybe this is how Italians have always felt because the popes normally come from somewhere over there, and I realize that Francis wasn't, but it's also a product of the modern age. Like, we just have video of people now, whereas 50, 60 years ago or 2,000 years ago, like, no one was like, oh, they named that guy Pope? They used to fish at the same harbor as that guy. Original Peter. I thought his name was Simon. It's a very biblical joke. Hopefully it's one person out there gets it. Brody emails in, says, is it just me? This is a good question. Or was I promised less Packers drama once Rodgers left? Seems to me there's been more insider tweets and leaks and trouble in paradises that we ever had under Ted Thompson. Well, that might be true. Well, let's think about what's been the drama. Romeo Doubs not coming to practice. Jaden Reed is now like, I want to make sure my role is secure. And the Packers are like, yeah, man, don't worry. You're good. You're great, man. I want to know who is more annoyed having to sit through that meeting, Brian Gutekunst or Drew Rosenhaus. Drew Rosenhaus is some of the biggest names in football he's representing, and a guy in a rookie contract is like, make sure I'm secure in my role. And Drew's like, yeah, all right. Yeah, no, you got it, Jaden. I'll give Goody a call. Yep, I'll get him right on the phone. I think it's a generational thing, personally. I also think, let's be real, people just didn't care as much under Ted Thompson. Not everyone was on Twitter as much. We didn't have this 24-hour news cycle or sports cycle. Twitter was around, but like now we have emergency podcasts all the time. We got reaction podcasts, and the podcasts are turned into YouTube shorts, or the radio shows turned into a podcast, but also a live stream. And then there's occasionally clips that get aggregated. It's just a whole rat's nest that really wasn't even the same way 8 years ago, let alone 18 years ago. So Rodgers was, a circus in and of itself. I will say, if someone's going to cause drama on my football team, I want it to be someone who's accomplished something, not Romeo Doubs or Jaden Reed. And they're fine players, but like, I don't know. It's like these younger athletes. It's like as soon as they get a shred of accomplishment, it's like, well, now I got to do the thing where I demand mine. And I got to no, man, just play really good football. It works out. Luckily, football's a good sport like that. Clemhead Mike, more of a comment, really. I just wanted to let you know that we went to Ted's Pizza yesterday, and it was excellent. Hope to take you there sometime. I would love to go to Ted's. Delicious pizza. I'll actually be in Menominee this weekend. Maybe I'll scheme some Ted's this weekend. Maybe I can get around to that. Tomorrow, we'll continue the show. We'll react to Brewers. We didn't talk any Brewers tonight, and there is some news to talk about with injuries. Tobias Myers was sent down over the weekend. That's worth talking about because a little bit of that confuses me. Brandon Woodruff suffered an ankle injury, and Jose Quintana suffered something. I don't remember. There's too many injuries. So that's where we stand. Luckily, they're playing interleague games, which everyone is really invested and interested in. We'll pick all of that up tomorrow. Look forward to talking to you then.